Yevhenia Basalayeva is a musician, a teacher, the organizer of many creative projects, and simply a very charming woman. About her and her achievements, watch in this week's program. Her energy and unlimited fantasy are amazing, but the ability of Yevhenia Basalayeva to embody in real life everything that she has conceived is even more admirable. Yevhenia Basalayeva. She began studying music at the Kiev Lysenko Special School, continued at the Glier School, where her teacher was the pedagogue Yuri Holumbievsky. Then in 1987 she graduated from the Kiev Tchaikovsky State Conservatory from the class of Professor Vitaly Sechkin, laureate of national and international competitions. In December 1991, after winning the music contest in Italy, she became the first international laureate from independent Ukraine, founder and leader of the ensemble Contrasty Kiev Classic, as well as the creative project Revival Dialogues of Cultures and Elite Evenings of Yevhenia Basalayeva, participant of more than 100 festivals and competitions, the Days of Culture of Ukraine and other countries, and international master classes. She has toured Europe, Canada and Australia, laureate of the National Award Person of the Year 2009, People's Artist of Ukraine. According to Yevhenia, her first teacher was nature itself, the sounds of which aroused in the young girl some kind of irresistible craving for music. We lived in a private house, and we had a huge garden. I could enjoy the chirping of birds, the sound of wind, and the rustling of leaves every morning. It was these sounds that I wanted to embody in something tangible. My grandmother had an old grand piano, and I started my musical life playing this instrument. It was my grandmother who brought me up in my childhood on fairy tales, accompanied by music and dramatized associations. She told me a story and she depicted it with sounds, so I perceived the music through images, favorite characters, and in this way she instilled in me an artistic perception of the world. Yevhenia Basalayeva's grandmother, also Yevhenia, played the piano well. She became the first mentor of the future pianist. Her mother, also Yevhenia, danced in the famous Versky ensemble. As for her father, Alexander Basalayev, he's a professional musician. He played an upright bass in a symphonic orchestras and had an undying passion for jazz. In such a creative family, there was simply no way that this young girl could not become a musician. I had a classical direction, the academic side from my grandmother and jazz from my father's side. So in my work, I connect these two lines, these two styles. I'm not a jazz musician, but I use jazz very often in concerts and even create programs to combine these two music genres. Yevhenia Basalayeva has an incredibly rich creative life, from the creation together with Bohdar Kotorovich of the Kiev Soloists Ensemble to the current large-scale music projects. But she will never forget her first solo performance for her entire life. It was in the House of Actors that Yevhenia first appeared on the professional concert stage. At 16, she gave a solo concert for the audience. This concert hall seemed to me very huge. I thought to myself, how can I possibly perform in such a large hall and in front of such a huge audience? But the concert was very successful. I often recall these exciting moments, the first flowers and the fans. That is what gives you inspiration to go further. I passed this test, and my active concert activity began from this moment on. Only in 1995, the ensemble Kiev Soloists will receive state support. But it all began with the duo of Yevhenia Basalayeva and Bohdar Kotorovich. The first thing we played was Ivan and Marichka. music written by composer Miroslav Skorik for the film Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors. It was a very interesting duo, and in 1988 Bohdar Kotorovich invited me to his project Night Serenades, which he held in the Mariinsky Park. Many years later, Yevhenia Basalayeva revived this project. It also takes place in the Mariinsky Park on the stage of the famous band shell on beautiful summer evenings to delight Kievans and guests of the Ukrainian capital. In the 1991, we were already married, and we needed to make joint creative plans and family. In 1993, after the invitation of the legendary violinist and conductor Yehudi Menuhin of the 20th century, he invited us to work in the Sydney Conservatory, something that we gladly accepted. The beginning of the 1990s was a difficult period. Young Ukraine was just getting on its feet. It needed specialists in various fields, and then the country's leaders appealed to Bohdar Kotorovich with a request to return to Ukraine. Even the registration of documents when creating the ensemble Kiev Soloists was secured. We had everything we needed there, but Bohdar said, "Let's go. Where are the nation's intellect? Where are the bearers of the values of this nation, these people, and this country?" And I understood this responsibility. Bohdar said so. And he is now a famous musician, a people's artist, winner of all possible contests, and patriot who created the Ukrainian violin school. I understood that we should continue this work. The ensemble Kiev Soloists burst onto the Ukrainian musical life like a bright star. It included the best musicians. The team performed interesting concert programs, represented Ukrainian culture at the international level, and cooperated with famous conductors and musicians. One of the most significant events in the life of both the ensemble and the outstanding violinist Bohdar Kotorovich were concerts in which the maestro played on the famous Paganini violin. These were unforgettable concerts. It was a splash of great creativity. After this concert, Bohdar stopped playing the violin as he had a problem with his hand. So he then became a conductor. And I went into my own projects. I created a separate ensemble, Contrasts Kiev Classic, as well as the project Elite Evenings of Chamber Music by Yevhenia Basalayeva, which I started to conduct in 2001. Every concert became a small performance, which was a director's decision. They used screens, elements of fine art, and lighting solutions. And the most important fact was that a lot of unknown music was performed. The main goal of the project was the popularization of Ukrainian music in the context of European masterpieces. It was finding forgotten works of Ukrainian authors. We raised a legacy that even musicians do not know. For example, there was an unforgettable concert, the music of Fedor Yakimenko. I did not know this composer before. The frames of one project became narrow, and there were many ideas. In addition, Yevhenia Basalayeva continued to cooperate with foreign musicians, and she wanted to show their work to the Ukrainian audience. In 2006, I started a new project, Dialogues of Cultures, an international festival. The festival is interesting. It is certified. It has been held for more than 10 years by now. From September to May. And in the framework of this project, I have many different interesting projects. Night serenades, Razumovsky's collections, and others. I devote a lot of time to young musicians. I brought up more than 50 laureates of international competitions, working in the conservatory, and today they are our elite. A well-known musician who has learned many creative secrets sooner or later will want to share his or her knowledge. But it is not enough to give experience. It is necessary to help beginning artists enter the professional stage. So another project appeared, Young Philharmonic. Yevhenia is an enthusiast. She's a charming woman, a great musician, and very intelligent. She's a person who not only fulfills, but also creates projects. And this is the most important thing. It is always easy to work with her, calmly and interestingly. Any of her projects dedicated to the Holodomor, dedicated to aspects related to great art, are wonderful. We managed to combine jazz, even music of popular forms, with magnificent classics. And all this is straight and natural.
Вона допомогла нам з роялем. Це рояль, який колись був придбаний саме для неї, і вона зараз допомогла.
This grand piano was once acquired for Yevhenia, and she helped bring it to the House of Actors so that young musicians could play on a good instrument. Every month, on this stage, there are concerts of young performers and collectives and students of musical schools, and our cooperation continues.
Театральних вузів, музичних вузів країни, і таким чином наша співпраця вона продовжується.
Since the House of Actors became the first serious stage for Yevhenia, today she helps young musicians to become well-known, and ensured that they would do so in a good hall and with the help of a respectable instrument. This hall is interesting for its acoustics. We can hold competitions and festivals in it. It is a hall that meets European standards, and today it is the second hall after the Philharmonic Hall. It is difficult for youth to financially raise the Philharmonic. The House of Actors creates all favorable conditions so that young people can develop. Young Philharmonic is becoming popular. It is only the beginning of its ascent, and it is not only academic music. It also involves the synthesis of genres and artists. They are academicians, jazz musicians, poetry reciters, and painters. All of them create a complete image of what I have in mind.
Музыки, живописи, поэзии. Я считаю, что они должны, они друг друга дополняя, они создают вот законченный образ того, что я задумала.
Love of her homeland, its history, and its national culture inspired Yevhenia Basalayeva to another project, Chant of Immortality. It is held every year on the Day of Remembrance of the victims of the Holodomor, as well as on the Day of Dignity and Freedom.
музыка
Music and art,
как духовные
as spiritual guides,
духовные ориентиры,
help young and adult
в этом
musicians.
смысле молодежь.
And when people come every year on November 21st
Приходят люди
to the Philharmonic Hall,
каждый год в филармонию.
and I hold this
И
project,
я провожу этот проект.
then I want to appeal to everyone. Let's love each other.
Обратиться ко всем, что не давайте будем любить друг друга.
Let's love our homeland,
Давайте будем любить нашу землю,
our nation,
нацию,
and
нашу
our
национальную
culture.
культуру.
Мені здається, Євгенія Басалаєва зробила.
It seems to me that Yevhenia Basalayeva is doing impossible things, combining and integrating various projects in such a natural manner. We always support interesting, top-quality projects.
Якщо б ми мали нагоду таким людям,
I would be glad if we had the opportunity to organize everything for her,
щоб організовувати за них. Ну, бо було
so that
більше
Yevhenia and
можливостей
people
для
like her
створення
could give more
чогось
energy to
важливого. Я завжди
creativity.
про це мрію, коли я працюю з найкращими митцями.
Yevhenia has enough enthusiasm and creative inspiration, so she has many plans. She is steadfastly focused on continuing all her current projects and has a great undying desire to create new ones.
Мой Nordfest.
This is my Nordfest, a unique project, and I want to do it in a year.
Очень уникальный проект.
All Scandinavian countries will be represented there, and I plan to hold a number of concerts dedicated to the Young Philharmonic.
Сделать ряд концертов.
But I do not want to reveal everything about this.
Не хочу все рассказывать,
Let it be a secret.
это для всех будет тайной и секретом.